I see everybody tell me to stay. Who said I want to go? Who said I wanted to leave? I'm out here working, baby.
What are some of the quarterbacks out there, if you had a list, you say, these are some dope quarterbacks that I would love to throw me the ball the second part of my career?
I would have to say one of my favorite quarterbacks I've been watching since he came in the league is Josh Allen. Josh Allen, he reminds me of a new school Andrew Luck. Jalen Hurts, Houston kid, your dog Jalen. Number 3, Patrick Mahomes, obviously.
Ooh.
Number 4, I got to go with the underdog, man. As a throwing quarterback, Lamar Jackson, obviously. Number 5, man, I'm going to have to go with my dude in San Diego. I'm gonna have to
Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
After an entire week of what seemed to be very slow NFL news, I decided to take a trip to Austin, Texas. I was feeling so good about this trip that I decided to maybe hit the airport a little early and take an earlier flight to Austin, Texas. I'm currently here now, and, well, as is tradition, as I decide to get on the plane, we get some breaking news. And the result of this breaking news is going to have significant ramifications on the rest of the NFL. So before we get to the content, we're still on for a $1,000 giveaway between 5 subscribers that turn on my notifications on this channel. And now that we get all that out of the way, work! The last pick I gave you guys on my Instagram story hit, and now we have a free square for game 1 of the NBA Finals. Jokic just needs a point. He's gonna get a point. At the time I'm recording this, it's way too early for me to give you your picks, so I'm gonna post my picks onto my story. And if you aren't playing Prize Picks, use my promo code Mikerophone and they'll give you up to $100 free when you deposit $100. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? The DeAndre Hopkins situation during the offseason has been one of the stranger situations that we've covered on this channel, because it was a foregone conclusion between the Arizona Cardinals and DeAndre Hopkins that it was best for both sides to move on. Given Kyler Murray's impending cap hit once the contract extension kicks in, the fact that the Arizona Cardinals traded for Marquise Hollywood Brown, and the fact that DeAndre Hopkins is just getting old and is probably trying to contend and compete during his final good years in the NFL, and the fact that he's been injury prone recently, it made sense for both sides to move on. And for the most part, going into the NFL draft, we all thought that DeAndre Hopkins was going to get traded on draft day, but that didn't end up happening. The NFL draft came and went, and DeAndre Hopkins remained an Arizona Cardinal. And then things really took a strange turn when he posted this onto his Instagram story.
I see everybody tell me to stay. Who said I want to go? Who said I wanted to leave? I'm out here working, baby.
So it was an assumption that I guess DeAndre Hopkins and the Cardinals are going to run it back for this year. And it looks like that isn't going to be the case at all whatsoever. Something that's been a theme in my career recently, guys, is every time I get on an airplane to go somewhere else, we get crazy breaking news pertaining to the world of football. Whether it's DeAndre Hopkins right now, Jackson Mahomes a couple weeks ago, which was a huge story, even though it doesn't directly pertain to football. And I think the first time this happened to me was when Cam Newton got signed by the New England Patriots a couple years ago. So the official announcement first came to us via Adam Schefter, where he stated the Arizona Cardinals are releasing DeAndre Hopkins. He even tweeted out the official statement from the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals Football Club today announced that the team has released wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins. This was also echoed by Ian Rappaport, and the result of this huge news comes several questions. One, why would the Arizona Cardinals do this to begin with? I mean, Hollywood Brown is probably seething at the fact that he now has to revert back to a wide receiver 1 after escaping it during his time with the Baltimore Ravens. Jokes aside, now even stranger than this is the fact that DeAndre Hopkins is not a post-June 1st designation. So you might be thinking, Mike, what is this fancy salary cap jargon you're throwing at me? The Arizona Cardinals had an option to either cut DeAndre Hopkins before the June 1st designation or after the June 1st designation. If they cut him after the June 1st designation, that means they'll be able to spread his $22.6 $106 million cap hit across the next 2 years. And pretty much what the Arizona Cardinals are trying to say is they're completely punting on 2023. I mean, with Kyler Murray's injury situation being up in the air, losing DeAndre Hopkins, bringing in a brand new head coach, Budda Baker has demanded a trade, JJ Watt has retired. It seems like the Cardinals understand that, believe it or not, they're probably going to be in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes next year, which is going to be a wild situation if that ends up being the case, which we've covered in our last Kyler Murray video if you want to catch it. But pretty much the Cardinals are deciding to take all of the hit now for 2023 and just have DeAndre Hopkins' contract come completely off of the books for next year. So now that we got the Arizona Cardinals situation on the way, let's get to the real meat. I mean, where would DeAndre Hopkins go currently? In order to get an idea of where DeAndre Hopkins will go, let's ask DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins stated that this is what he wants. He wants a quarterback that loves the game and brings everyone on board with him. I wonder if that's a shot at Kyler Murray, but I feel like he probably clarified saying this is nothing against Kyler Murray, because I remember seeing something like this in the past. He's looking for a team with great defense. Defense wins championships, gotta have a great D-line, and he's looking for a team with stable management because he says he's been through 4 general managers in his career. So as a result of this, a lot of people are speculating about DeAndre Hopkins' next destination. Currently, for some reason, here are the odds for the most likely team to sign DeAndre Hopkins, and I'm not necessarily saying that this is something that I skewed myself. It kind of shocked me as well. You guys know me, I try to be as unbiased as possible here, but the team with the highest odds currently is the Dallas Cowboys at 2-1 odds, the Kansas City Chiefs at 4-1 odds, the New England Patriots at 5-1 odds, the Buffalo Bills at 6-1 odds, and the Philadelphia Eagles at 7-1 odds. I am very shocked to see the Dallas Cowboys at the very, very top of the list. We're gonna get to the Kansas City Chiefs in just a minute. The Cowboys would just be a very strange destination in my opinion. I mean, they do check off all 3 of his boxes, or 2 of the 3. I don't necessarily know how I feel about the management over there, and this is coming from a Cowboy fan, but they do have a really good defense and they do have a quarterback that loves the game. But how will we hear from DeAndre Hopkins about who he would want to play with? Check it out.
One of my favorite quarterbacks I've been watching since he came in the league is Josh Allen. Josh Allen, he reminds me of a new school Andrew Luck. Jalen Hurts, Houston kid, your dog Jalen. Number 3, Patrick Mahomes, obviously.
Ooh.
Number 4, I got to go with the underdog, man. As a throwing quarterback, Lamar Jackson, obviously. Number 5, man, I'm going to have to go with my dude in San Diego. I'm going to have to go
Justin
with
Herbert.
man.
Justin Herbert.
So let's go through these players real quick, right? The Los Angeles Chargers have Justin Herbert. They also have Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and they drafted a wide receiver in the first round of the NFL draft this year. I don't necessarily think that DeAndre Hopkins wants to go to a team who would essentially use him as the equivalent of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers' usage of Julio Jones last year. We're going to get to the Ravens and the Chiefs soon. The Philadelphia Eagles have Jalen Hurts. He had a remarkable season last year. I don't necessarily know if DeAndre Hopkins would want to be the 3rd guy behind Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. So I think that's relatively unlikely, but at the time that this news came out, DeAndre Hopkins was actually eating lunch in Philadelphia, so that's some food for thought. Josh Allen in the Bills is a very unique destination. I think there's a chance that he could go there. It does make a little bit more sense for him to fit in with Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs more than the Philadelphia Eagles in my opinion. But the 2 biggest players here are the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens out of every team that was just listed. And both sides have a very legitimate argument, and I think it all comes down to what DeAndre Hopkins wants at this stage of his career. Jeff Darlington floated a very interesting idea that I think any wide receiver in DeAndre Hopkins' situation would at least need to consider. You see, the Chiefs spent a lot of money on their offensive line this year. I mean, between Donovan Smith and Jawan Taylor, it doesn't necessarily leave a lot of cap space for DeAndre Hopkins. The Chiefs actually tried to pursue a trade for DeAndre Hopkins leading up to the NFL draft. The thing that stopped them was the fact that DeAndre Hopkins and the Chiefs couldn't agree on money. Now, Jeff Darlington proposes that, hey, a short-term deal with the Chiefs would make so much sense. The fact that Hopkins is available via free agency shows you that his value needs to be improved. Nowhere better to do it right now than Kansas City. Win-win. You go to Kansas City, you're playing with Patrick Mahomes. You're playing in an offense that you will without a doubt be the wide receiver 1, especially if you go there right now during OTAs and have an opportunity to work on installs with Patrick Mahomes. Behind DeAndre Hopkins, you would have Kadarius Toney, who would be a remarkable wide receiver 2. You have Sky Moore, you have Marquez Valdez-Scantling. This would be an awesome wide receiver core for the Chiefs, and I think the Chiefs could do with DeAndre Hopkins or without DeAndre Hopkins. You put him in this offense, I think he could easily bring you another 1,000 plus receiving season. The plan would be to try to win a Super Bowl with the Chiefs and then hit the free agency market for 2024 for one more big contract for DeAndre Hopkins. But there's a huge issue with this. The Chiefs received permission to talk with DeAndre Hopkins earlier in the offseason and spoke to him before the draft. Contract was the hurdle, and to do it now, price would have to come way down. Kansas City likes him, but the deal that they gave Donovan Smith makes money tough. Which brings us to probably the most exciting team on this list, and that would have to be the Baltimore Ravens. Earlier in the offseason, there was a rumor floating around that Lamar Jackson would only re-sign with the Baltimore Ravens if they were able to get him Odell Beckham Jr. and DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, just looking at this team, could you just imagine the Baltimore Ravens coming out wide with Mark Andrews, Odell Beckham Jr., and DeAndre Hopkins? You have J.K. Dobbins and Lamar Jackson in the backfield. That would just be fun to watch in general. And Lamar Jackson even said it himself. The Ravens plan on throwing the football a lot.
I mean, just being able to throw the ball down the field. You know, we sometimes, you know, we can't. Running can only take you so far, you know, and I feel like with this new era of teams and offenses in the league, I feel like we need that, and Coach Todd Monken, what I'm seeing his offense so far is looking tremendous.
Do you feel like you won't have to run as much, and that'll maybe be scaled back a little bit?
Absolutely, especially with the receivers we have. Babe, OBJ, Zay, Duve, Pro, all those guys. You got Isaiah, the tight end. I can't say Zay. Isaiah, the tight end. Mark, my guy. Is it looking?
If the Ravens are able to get Lamar Jackson, in my mind, I think they're a super team. I mean, between OBJ, Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson, DeAndre Hopkins, and that's before we get to the Baltimore Ravens defense, which was one of the best defenses in the entire NFL, if not the best defense in the entire NFL, after they acquired Roquan Smith via trade at the trade deadline. Either way, this is going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to keep you guys posted. Clearly, even if I decided to go to a different state, I'll make sure I bring you the news. Let me know what team you think's the most likely that DeAndre Hopkins is going to join. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.